The hallway series is back on Thursday, and interesting enough, after beating the Nuggets on Monday, if the season ended right now, the Lakers would be facing those very same Clippers in the first round in the 4-5 matchup. Brez, I'll start with you. Still 7 games to be played, players missing from both sides. But if healthy, how does a Laker team match up against the Clippers?
Ooh. First of all, it'll be amazing just because they've never played in the playoffs, which is just crazy to think about it. There was a time, probably a little over 10 years ago, where the Lakers and Clippers were supposed to meet in the second round, but the Lakers ended up losing, and so the Clippers played the Phoenix Suns. There's just always all these close calls with this series. That's my history lesson for the day. I'm boring myself. But if it started today, you have to give the edge to the Lakers. They are the franchise that keeps winning championships, not quite year after year, but definitely decade after decade after decade. Whereas the Clippers, historically, have never been past the second round, going back 50-plus years to when their franchise began back in Buffalo. So just based on history and legacy, if it comes down to a Game 7, you know who I'm picking.
I know people at home didn't get to see your facial expression when Brez said that, Dan. So explain, how do you feel about this?
Well, you made the argument. You don't want to play the Clippers in the first round. That's the round they win. You want to get them later in the playoffs when all the weird stuff happens. You know, they're well versed at getting out of the first round at this point. Look, I think it's a tough matchup. You know, you've got really just great wing size with the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. You know, it's going to be a really tough matchup for the Lakers, I think. And then, you know, they're a really good jump shooting team. It's an interesting series, certainly, obviously, when healthy. I mean, I think it's very, very close. I think Brez makes a good point, though, right? It's like the Clippers are sort of like they're going to have to prove it to people at eventually, right? Whereas the Lakers have repeatedly proven it. LeBron James has repeatedly proven it. And I do think that type of stuff sort of like hangs over a series always. As someone who has covered the Clippers in the past, like when, you know, I was in the building when they blew that lead to the Houston Rockets in Game 6 of the second round, where they had the conference finals, you know, a 20-plus lead, and it was like that lead got down to 15, and like everybody was freaking out because they knew something bad was going to happen, even though it was still a 15-point lead. And it's like shaking those demons is tough, and so I think that part of it's interesting. But the Clippers are good, and I think. The Rondo deal was a lot of people scoffed at that at the trade deadline. I think he's like exactly what that team needed in terms of leader. We saw how important he was last year in the playoffs for the Lakers, and he can organize that offense and get Kawhi Leonard and Paul George to their spots. I think if that series were to happen, Rajon Rondo, I think, could be an X factor.
Yeah, Rondo 18-5-5 in his last game with the Clippers. Dan, see, I'm envisioning you and Brad Turner and Bill Plaschke, the LA Times, 3 wise men right there, asking these tough questions between Games 6 and 7, if the teams play each other, if it goes to a Game 7. And that's when it could probably, you know, obviously start to enter the Clippers' minds when the media is all over this. You know, can you beat the Lakers? Can you get past them in whatever round it is? That could be an issue, Allie.
The playoffs in general make my blood pressure rise, but that right off the bat, would be through the roof.
Right.
We talked about the contributions from AD, but how about Marc Gasol, a big part of the Lakers' win against Denver, coming off the bench, 10 points, 7 boards, in a game-high plus 17 on the court. Marc may just work here, but Coach Vogel loves what he brings when he plays.
Marc Gasol's a winner. You know what I mean? And he understands like what it takes to win at a high level, and you know that type of commitment and sacrifice, and whatever the team needs, attitude is what's necessary for us to win a championship. And that's what we're asking of him and all of our guys, really. And you know, for him to be in that headspace and that having that attitude is just something that's it's really going to benefit us.
He was a difference maker, really. You know, him coming in the game and his ability, to almost kind of speed Jokic up and try to, make things harder for him was really good for us. With Dre being in foul trouble and things like that. So, him staying ready was very important for us, and we're appreciative to have him for that.
I'm fine, on that Mr. Wolf role. You just come in whenever things don't go great and kind of help everyone. So I accepted it. I'll try to do as best as possible at that role, and so yeah.
Marc, I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. You said the role you play is like the wolf?
Mr. Wolf, Mr. Wolf, the Pulp Fiction,
Like Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, pretty much.
I respect that. I'm not here to say please. What did you do for this team the most in terms of giving a different look, I guess, compared to the other centers that are on the roster, big men that are on the roster? And what's the chemistry like with AD right now?
You know, I just said that we're not going to mention. I'm going to try not to mention situations, personal situations. You know, I think it's about the team and how we all try to help the team be a better team. That's all. You know, one night it's going to be some guys, and other nights it's going to be other guys. And to me, it's you know, it's about that. So the team does well. We're all doing well. You're playing 0 minutes or 35 minutes. You're doing your job every night. So you know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the things that I can do that other guys can. It's just not good. You know, there's some things that they do that it's impossible for me to do. It's just physically impossible. I could try every day to catch lobs and be above the rim all night long. That should never been that way. And there's things I do that are, you know, that are a little bit different. But it's about the team and how we all, you know, put that priority and that goal amongst everything and winning. You know, that's it.
Now, Marc Gasol apparently is a fan of Pulp Fiction. He called himself Mr. Wolf, as in Harvey Keitel, Winston Wolf the Cleaner, who just solves problems. Here's what the Lakers cleaned up with Gasol playing. They shot 43% from 3, held Denver to 89 points, second lowest of the season, and he was a game-high plus 17 and snapped a 3-game losing streak. Nice job, Mr. Wolf.
Yeah.
Dan, did you like it? He's against the Clippers and Blazers, then a Sunday matchup at home against the Suns, followed by another back-to-back against the Knicks and Rockets. But the Lakers are coming off a big win against Denver. So for more on last night, let's send it over to Geeter and recent Alabama graduate, Robert Horry.
Thanks, Allie. Rob, first thing I want to get to are these balloons. Congratulations, man. Graduated, University of Alabama. I know you just got back. How was the weekend?
It was a great weekend. Anytime you get to hang out with your family,
yeah,
and more importantly, see my mother and see my brother and just sit back and reminisce about good times, and my mom looking at me with a big smile.
I was going to say, how big was Mom's smile?
Her smile was the biggest. I haven't seen her smile that big in forever.
Yeah,
you know,
that's really cool.
Maybe on draft day.
Yeah, of course, of course.
But yeah,
of course.
I think the smile was bigger for graduation.
Well, we needed you back. And the Lakers needed you back because they needed a win, and they got one against the Denver Nuggets. And I think coming into the game, I don't know, fans, maybe us, expectations were low the way they were playing. They lost 6 of 7. They lost to the Kings and the Raptors with LeBron James. All of a sudden, LeBron's out, Dennis is out. Lakers found a way to win. Why?
You know, they found a way to win because they buckled down. They buckled down and played good defense. You saw the hustle. If you go back to the games that they were winning and the games that they were losing, their defense was constant. Their defense was moving. Their defense was diving on the floor for balls. And you didn't see that in the last 3 games. But against Denver, you saw people on the floor. You saw Trez getting offensive rebound. And you saw AC Fresh diving on the floor, not once, but 2 or 3 times. So you got to have that hustle.
Listen, when teams win championships, the star players get a lot of accolades. And when teams lose, they get a lot of the blame. Did AD set the tone for this one? And did he need to?
He had to, you know, because we all look at AD and we look at LeBron as a team savior.
Yeah.
So, and you look back at the games, 19 points, that's unacceptable. Anybody else on the team, that's good. For AD to only score 19 points in the last couple of games, that's unacceptable. So he needs to have 25-plus points. And against Denver, he did that. He came out aggressive. He was scoring in the paint. He was doing what we like the best, is get easy buckets.
There's a famous mantra, stay ready. So I don't got to get ready.
Exactly.
Right? Just keep your phone on the hook and get your mind always right, so when they call you, you're ready to go. That happened to Marc Gasol.
Yes.
And I know Frank said, listen, it is a good matchup with Jokic, and we figured he was going to play at some point, but he was the 11th guy in, and Drummond had that 4th foul, and Frank went to him, and then Frank stuck with him. And it was a great call because Marc Gasol's a pro, and he was the reason they won.
Yeah, if Vogel he's in a bad position because you got 2 centers that can give you buckets, and you got two centers who make the team better. I mean, Drummond and Gasol, and who are you going to play? And Gasol gets the short end of the stick more often because I think that has a lot to do with him being older and him having a lot of miles on his body. But when he comes in, he's very consistent. He knows how to play centers. He knows how to get people involved. And when he stepped on that court against Denver, he shot the ball extremely well. He got people involved. And more importantly, he was a force on the inside defensively.
I think of your championship teams with the Lakers. I think of last year's defined roles. Guys had to figure out where they fit, how they fit, and how they can impact this team. I liked what the guys said after the game. It was a team win. Guys like Wes Matthews, Marc Gasol, who've maybe gotten a few DMPs. I think of a guy like Trez, who had great energy in that first half, doesn't get the call in the second half. Trez is used to playing a lot more than that, you know, but it doesn't matter when the team wins. Because you got to do what it takes.
It's a bigger picture, and when you have a bunch of guys on the team who understand that, it makes things run smoothly. If you go down the line, Markieff Morris, he understands that. Matthews understands that. And more importantly, Trez understands that. That's why he came over to the Lakers, because he wanted to win a championship and be a part of this culture. And the Lakers right now, they have that mindset of, we're trying to win. So it's bigger than just one guy. So they're playing together, and they're sacrificing minutes, because this game is all about sacrifice. You got to sacrifice minutes. You got to sacrifice shots. And when they do that as a team, they usually play better.
Last thing, do you feel smarter?
When only because I hang out with you, man. That's the only reason
I don't know if it's because, you know, cap and gown.
It ain't the cap and gown. It ain't the paper on the wall. It's you.
I appreciate you, buddy. That was fun, man. Good win. We appreciate you talking about it. All right, Allie. Big shot Rob, the graduate. Back to you. Thanks for wearing the Bama jersey.
Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers. I'm Allie Clifton. Joining me today is our Laker insider Mike Bresnahan and beat writers for the Lakers from the LA Times, Dan Oike. May the 4th be with you all, even Mr. B, Dan.
Thank you. Yes, he is. He does look like a Wookiee, and my last name is almost spelled like Wookiee, so it really is a special day in our house today. Yeah.
Good start right there. Allie is still shaping up on her Star Wars trivia. We've talked about it a lot over the last 24 hours. She's getting there, though, Dan. She's
not good at it.
You're improving.
Yeah.
We know who Han Solo is now.
I do.
Okay,
yes.
Good.
And Chewbacca. That's all that matters. We start off with some LeBron news. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, LBJ will not play in the Lakers back-to-back against the Clippers and Blazers on Thursday and Friday. LeBron left Sunday's game against the Raptors with some pain and soreness in his right ankle, dealing with that sprain. He has missed 22 games on the year. So, Dan, I'll start with you. LeBron out for back-to-back this weekend. It lends to about 6 days rest if you think about Sunday, the last time he played, to potentially after that back-to-back this weekend. Do we expect him to be back at all, I ask you, here in the regular season? There will be 5 games after that.
Yeah, I think he'll be back at some point in the regular season, but I think it's going to be more than just these 2 games. Brad Turner and I over at the Times reported about this too. You know, LeBron saw an ankle specialist. And I think they're going to be really conservative, and they want to get this to 100%. Like LeBron said, seeding doesn't really matter if he's not able to play to the level that he wants to be at, to the level that he needs to be at. So I'm going to guess that it's going to be a little bit of a longer process than just this back-to-back. But I think that, ultimately, like, the good news is I haven't heard the words like shutdown yet, right? So I think that there's still kind of that that truth that's existed all year, right, guys? Which is that if LeBron James and Anthony Davis are healthy or close to healthy, that the Lakers are going to have a reasonable chance to repeat. And I still think that is true. It's just, the get them healthy part is probably a little tighter now than I would have said a week ago.
Dan, I figured, okay, he might punt the Clipper game, give him just that 1 extra day's rest. Clippers might be playing all their guys. All right, so Lakers can lose that one. I figured he would be back, Allie, for Friday's game in Portland. The game of the year in the regular season for the Lakers. If they win that, a lot could fall in their laps as far as avoiding the play-in tournament. When you hear and see that he's not playing in either of those games, the little light bulb goes on. Maybe more like a little siren, because you start thinking, this is bigger than what people might think. He indeed will be missing not 1 but 2 pretty important games with the Lakers trying to stay out of that 7th spot in the West It's kind of a big deal. And as Dan said, ankle specialist is probably warranted at this point.
I think the key phrase you just said there was biggest game of the regular season.
Exactly.
I think no matter what, it is about the playoffs.
Yeah.
And to his point, he wants to be as close to healthy as possible. But from him to Dennis Schroeder, guys, we've also learned Dennis out 10 to 14 days because of health and safety protocols. And we don't know that timeline per se with LBJ. Dan, is that a bigger concern when you're talking about Dennis? You're talking about two playmakers, and knowing that could put him at the end of the regular season before he could possibly even return.
Yeah, and that's not going to be a situation probably where he just, once the 10 to 14 days is up, he's just on the court and at full strength and full speed, right? So there's going to be some time, too, for him to get back to where he needs to be, which is why it's so important to stay out of that play-in tournament, not only because your season can be ended in a game, or if you're in the 7th or 8th and 2 losses, but you want that week off between the end of the regular season and the start of the playoffs, especially for the Lakers in the situation that they're in right now. Allie, I think it's a great point though. The two playmakers being out, this is a high turnover team. It's been a high turnover team all year, and I think that's going to be a huge thing to watch. It was an issue last night against Denver. I think it's going to be an issue against the Clippers and an issue against Portland too.
Dan wants that week off so he can go back down to Palm Springs, and I do not blame him. Not that a beat writer can take that much time off between the end of the regular season and the start of the playoffs, but we're all with you, Dan, as far as it would be nice for everyone. As far as Schroeder,
that's right.
The concern here is definitely, Marc Gasol, when he had COVID and came back from it, it took him longer than the week or two that people expected he would be out. He was recovering for quite a while. It took him definitely close to a month, from what I remember, to get back to being Marc Gasol. So, you hope that doesn't happen with Schroeder, assuming that is what's going on with him right now. The sooner he gets back is important, plus the sooner he feels better and up to NBA game shape.
This team really has taken the hits all season long. I feel like that's the theme. Another one.
Crazy.
The Lakers picked up a much-needed win, however, on Monday over Denver, snapping a 3-game losing streak. Anthony Davis had a big night, scoring 25 points to go along with 3 blocks. None bigger than this one that sealed the victory. AD capping it off by saying emphatically, "We're back." Here's the brow right there on making that statement.
I said we're back because tonight we played Laker basketball. We're running, we're helping each other, we're talking, we're sharing the basketball. We did everything that Laker basketball consists of. So when we continue to do this, then we can start adding more wins than losses in our record. So it was good just to see us play our style of basketball tonight. And like I said, we got to feed off this game.
It starts with the defensive end, and that's what helped us win a championship last year. It's helped us, stay afloat in this stretch while our 2 top guys are out. And quite frankly, it wasn't really there, over the last 5-6 games, at a high enough level. But it was terrific tonight.
Just the heart, the togetherness, being able to hold each other accountable. But in order to do that, you got to hold yourself accountable and put your foot in the ground, put your feet in the ground, feet in the sand, whatever the phrase is that you want to say or want to use, and put it into it. And that's what we're able to do. Obviously, it's one win. It's a big win, but we need more. We're not just going to be like, okay, we beat the Denver Nuggets. Well, what about the last 6 games? We got to continue to build on what we did, enjoy this one, and get back to scrapping and fighting again.
We've been saying we just wanted to get out of the losing column, so, just getting back in that win column, it always feels good when you win. So especially, the type of game that we had tonight, when we were up, they came back. It was just a hard-fought game, so I feel like, it's just almost like a relief, almost, just finally being able to win the game again.
I'm going to be honest, guys, seeing Anthony Davis say "we're back" got me just as excited as when he hit the game winner in the Western Conference Finals of